Former New York Giants running back Brandon Jacobs joins me on today's Locked On Giants podcast to talk about the state of the Giants, as well as the upcoming Dexter Lawrence charity softball game this weekend. That's coming your way next here on the Locked On Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of the Locked On Giants podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, credential member of the New York Giants media for Locked On, as well as the New York Giants team page over on the Fan Nation Network, part of SI.com. Find a written work at SI.com/NFL/Giants. And welcome on into my Blue Crew community members, my everydayers, and everybody in between. Thank you for spending part of your day with us here on the Locked On Giants podcast. And on today's show, I'm joined by a man that I absolutely adore. He's was always one of my favorites. A lot of you always say, who are some of your favorites? Well, this next guest is one of my favorites. I'm not afraid to admit it. He is Brandon Jacobs, former NFL running back, former New York Giants running back. And he is here to talk a little bit about the Giants, as well as a big event they have coming up this weekend involving a softball game. We're going to talk a little bit about that a little later on. But first, Brandon, thank you so much for taking time out to join me.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always good being on. It's always good to see you, obviously, and you're looking really good. So just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Well, I got to admit, seeing you has put a smile on my face. I always love catching up with you, whether it be on the pod, whether it be in person. You and I go back a long, long way, right? I mean, we were just talking about that off camera. So Brandon, let's talk about the Giants. Big year for Brian Daboll, year 3, coming off the disappointing year last year. I mean, what's your feel right now, given, what they have done in the offseason and the direction this franchise is headed?
Well, I think the Giants, like every time somebody asks me about the Giants and where I think that we're headed, I think it's a good direction. We got Daniel Jones, who some people for some reason still not sure in. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had these knockdown, drag out numbers. He's been hurt. He got hurt last year. So, the guys, he coming back from an injury. So, he has pretty good wide receiving core this year. So I think he has one of the best cores in the league. I mean, just guys that can flat out go get it, make plays, catch the ball in space, and like yards at the contact. I mean, I think as far as the wide receivers are concerned, he has enough weapons to be able to get the job done. Now, whether everybody stays healthy or not, that's one thing. And coming to the season, last year was really upsetting for a lot of us. Coach's first year, obviously they made the playoffs and won the first round, got knocked out in a divisional round by Philly, obviously, which is a team you don't want to lose to, but they did. And I think our team is fairly young this year. I think our defense is going to be pretty solid. What are we going to look like on offense?
Now, Brandon, they lost Saquon Barkley. I know you were an admirer of Saquon. It looks like they're going more towards a committee approach at running back. First off, what are they losing without Saquon in the offense? And can the committee approach work, do you think?
Yeah, the committee can definitely work. I mean, we've seen that done before. I was a part of that. You just got to be able to have guys that's not selfish, that really care about winning and offensive production. What's going to be, what you're going to get is what you're going to get. What's for you is for you. So you get a bunch of back that supports one another. Losing Saquon obviously is a big blow to the team. The Giants is a place where he wanted to be. Obviously, we all knows that. I think the running back by committee could actually, could work because we've seen it work before.
When you played for the Giants, you and Ahmad Bradshaw were like the 1-2 punch. You were the big power downhill guy. Ahmad was the quick, shifty guy and whatnot. When you look at this Giants committee that they're forming at running back, I mean, do they have that big Brandon Jacobs type guy? Maybe not necessarily size wise, but a guy who you think that can maybe be the downhill runner for them?
Well, just depending on, I think we have it. Number one, I think that we have to create an identity. That's what I think the New York Giants has lacked the last few years. Obviously, is like the team didn't have an identity. They wasn't going to come out and you can open your mouth and look and say right now what they were going to do to you on Friday. Right on Friday, we knew we was going to pound you. We knew it was going to be more physical. We knew we were going to come out, push you around. We knew that that was going to happen. Right now, the team didn't have a real identity. We didn't know if it was going to come out and run power, and or we don't know if we're going to come out and sling 50 times a game. Like that's where we are now. But I think that anybody can obviously put the ball in their hands and run hard and try to make plays. So it's just a mindset. It's a mentality that guys has to have. And it's not something you can coach. It's something that you have to have. It has to be your mentality. It has to be in you when you come out the womb, and not everybody have it.
Brandon, you mentioned Daniel Jones before, and when you look at his career and how it's progressed, do you see a guy who maybe is a little shell shocked at this point? You know, he hasn't really played behind a solid offensive line or a consistent offensive line, I should say. He didn't really have, a number one receiver until maybe now. Is he a little shell shocked? And if so, do you think he's salvageable?
Yeah, I think he's salvageable. I don't think he's shell shocked. I do believe that he has his worries, and I do believe that uh, he has his doubts sometimes. But again, Patricia, we keep sitting up here and we talk about this New York Giants football team, and one thing that we consistently point the finger at every year is the offensive line. We got two top 10 picks on offensive line. You got a guy play right tackle, that's a top 10 pick. You got a guy play left tackle, it's a top 10 pick. You got a center who I think was drafted, I think maybe in the second round a few years ago. So 3 out of the 5 is put up, they got pretty high draft statuses. And I don't want to continue to keep pointing the finger at them because obviously we keep drafting these guys. Somebody's has to be to blame if we're gonna continue blaming the offensive line and drafting these guys so high. So are we not drafting guys that fit the scheme? Are we not drafting guys that fit the mentality of the team? Like what are we not drafting? And the reason I say that because we consistently point the finger at the offensive line.
How much of it do you think might be the coaching and the lack of the development of these young assets? I mean, you also mentioned, Evan Neal at right tackle, Andrew Thomas at left tackle, John Michael Schmitz at center, but you also have just Joshua Zudu, who was a 3rd-round pick, Marcus McKeithen, who was, I think, a 6th-round pick. These guys haven't developed. So how much of that do you think is coaching?
I'm gonna say this. I know Coach Flaherty. I know what he brought to our team as an offensive line coach. I know the 5 guys I had in front of me. I'm not too familiar with what the Giants are doing now as far as offensive lines wise. I'm not too familiar what they're even doing with scheme wise and what they're, because again, like I said, we still looking for a team to have an identity. What we know they're going to do, right? What when you're on line up and play the Giants, you know what you're going to get. Right now, we don't have that, and we're losing Saquon right now. We really don't have that. So, the offensive line coach, I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's scheme. I have no idea like which one it really is, but somebody has to have the type of toughness needed to play in the trenches and be able to play those positions.
Hey, Giant fans. So when I'm not following the New York Giants, there's no greater thrill for me than playoff hockey. And with the New York Rangers in the thick of the Stanley Cup Finals hunt, how cool would it be to get to a game to cheer on the blue shirts? What's that you say? They're sold out? Well, with Game Time, there are always great seats available at competitive prices. Game Time offers last minute deals that can save you even more. And they take the guesswork out of what your seat view looks like, the fees, and all that other stuff that can make ticket buying a nightmare elsewhere. With Game Time, you even get event cancellation protection. And if you find your tickets elsewhere in the same section and row for less, Game Time will give you 110% of the difference. So go on and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Terms apply. It's interesting. You and I have talked about this before, I know in the past, and how the game, has changed a little bit, but more so the athletes that play the game. It's like, back when you played, it was all about the game. And now it just seems like more and more players are yeah, they're about the game, but they're also more about the brand. How much do you think that maybe has diluted this attempt to form an identity of the team?
Well, that's a good question because you got a lot of guys now that care more about themselves than the team. What you mean when you say brand? Everybody has been told to create a brand, make yourself a brand. Like you do this and do that, and people are totally forgotten about the real thing at hand, which is the team. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's a new day with these athletes, and every day I see some weird stuff when it comes to football and basketball. You see these guys doing and saying all types of weird things. So um, I don't know. I don't know if these guys aren't about the team or not, because again, I don't know most of them. Um, but I don't know what it is that we have to do to be able to turn our team around to get back where we need to be.
If Coach Dable came to you and said, "Hey, Brandon, I want you to go and I want you to talk to the team and I want you to share your experience because you were with the team for during their better years and whatnot," what would you tell them?
Inside of the locker room, nothing outside of the locker room matters. That's what I would say. Focus on what you're doing inside the locker room. Don't any anything outside of the locker room is in anything on the outside of that fence with the blue tarp does not matter. Worry about what we have going on our team. Earning the trust of your quarterback and your teammates and your coaches. Being accountable, regardless of what happens, you have to be accountable to your peer because and when I say this, I had plenty of times where Eli got on my ass and Sean O'Hara, Dave Dale, like all those guys. Hey B, come on now, let's do this. Antonio Pierce. We all held each other accountable, right? And I don't know if that's something that they do without getting in their feelings and getting defensive and firing back because one of their teammates just said, "Man, that play you had, you're way better than that. That absolutely sucked. You can do better than that." Without getting in this yelling match and this chest pounding and having a bruised ego. Learn how to take accountability for the things that you do and don't do, and most of it should come from your peer. Your coach should never be one to tell you what you should do and that should come from your teammates. You should tell him, "Hey, I trust you. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, you can do this." And I don't know if there's much of that going on right now.
Do you think, I mean, I don't want to say that the game's gotten soft, but you look at all the changes that been made since, you played, the elimination of 2-a-day practices, the shortening of the off season, the preseason. How much do you think that has maybe affected today's athlete?
It's not. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. I'll say that. I think the rules have really affected today's athlete. I'll say that. But just because of the lack of practice and the lack of those toughness sessions that you have when you have 2 days and both in full pads and you start in practice and goal line period, you know, they don't have much of that going on like anymore. But I don't think that affected the way guys should be producing. Now I do think that type of thing when you talk about defense, I think that type of thing affects the way they tackle and stuff like that because they don't have enough reps out of that during training camp.
Right.
But I don't think I think it would be more on the better side to keep them fresh, to be able to go out and perform.
Mhm.
But I do think the rules play a part in how those guys are performing. I think I just heard something today called a hip tackle or a hip pull or something
Hip
like that.
drop. Yeah, hip drop.
A hip drop, I just think is the stupidest thing. I think the NFL is ruining our game with all of these dumb rules, and these guys don't know what to do. They can't hit you low. They can't hit you high. They can't wrap their arms around your waist and pull you down. Like, just go play flag football. Let's just make it flag football and make every other league around play flag football so you don't lose your viewers. And that's it. I just don't understand. These guys can't play football because they don't want to lose their money. They like, this is their livelihood. So to not care about what they're talking about is absurd. You have to, because you're getting fined $5,000. You're getting fined $8,000. You're getting fined $10,000. That's a lot of money coming out of your pocket just because of some dumb rule. I do think the NFL, whoever making these rules, are killing our game, and we're slowly but surely just dying out.
You mentioned the defense, Brandon. I want to talk a little bit about the Giants defense and how it's shaping up. New defensive coordinator in Shane Bowen. They added Brian Burns to that pass rush. I mean, I've been screaming for them to add another pass rusher for a couple of years now, and they finally did that. Some question marks in the secondary, but when you look at this Giants defense, and one of the guys, of course, is going to be someone we're going to be talking about a little later on, because you're going to be squaring up against him in softball this weekend. But when you look at this Giants defense, what do you see? Do you see an identity emerging with this group? Or again, is it like the offense where there is no identity?
No, I think our defense has identity. I do. Now, I don't know exactly. Now, when I say that, I can't exactly say that and mean it, because we got a new DC. We had Wink last year. Wink isn't there. So I don't actually know what it is he's going to do. I know Dexter said he likes him. He likes him. We're kind of going to let the D-line play free, play loose, just win your battle type guy. I'm not sure if he's a pressure guy or not. But I think we have the talent, especially adding Burns and Thibodeau, that we'll have on the edges. And Dexter, I think we got good linebackers. I think our DBs, that's really right now what we need to be proven, that no one really knows about, as our defensive backs, right? But they're professionals, right? They were selected to be starters for a reason. So they're going to have to be able to come out and play and show people that they belong. Yeah, I think our front seven is going to be solid. I'm just unsure about the DBs.
Yeah, some question marks there, especially at cornerback too. But let me ask you this: when you were playing and you lined up across the defense, now I know you didn't fear anybody because that's just how you were, but you also knew enough when a defense, you could look at them and say, "Gosh, these guys mean business." Do you see that yet in that front seven? Do you think that they are there, or are they still missing a player or two?
I think the front seven, I think we're good. I do. I think we're good. You know, mid-season last year, I think we got rid of Leonard Williams, who I thought was an absolute stud for us. Outside of him being hurt, I think he was a guy that kind of gave us a little engine, when we needed it. Um, Again, like I said, adding Burns to it, I think that's going to make us better up front as far as the, getting after the passer. But I think front seven wise, I think we'll be okay. Again, just don't know what we're gonna get out the DBs.
All right, now before we talk about the big softball matchup, I want to ask you one question about a former teammate of yours, Eli Manning, eligible for the Hall of Fame this year. Should he be a Hall of Fame? Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer in your opinion?
Absolutely. I would say no. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowl appearance, I don't know how many years. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else the guy really have to do to be able to accomplish something like that. But yeah, I think Eli's a first ballot Hall of Fame, and I think that's easy. I think that's an easy decision for anybody who's voted. For all the voters, I think that'll be a pretty easy decision for them to make.
And not to mention, he's finally letting his personality come out.
Well, he's finally letting his personality come out to the outsiders.
Right.
Right. As his teammates, we're not shocked or surprised that he's the way he is in the media. That's the person he is. That's who we always saw. Is that.
Right. Hey, Giant fans, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. If you're like me and you're liking the New York Knicks odds or the New York Rangers odds as they pursue championship immortality in their respective sports, you'll want to be part of the action. And right now, when you sign up for an account on FanDuel, you will get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit fanduel.com/locked on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, Brandon. Now let's talk about the big charity softball game. Dexter Lawrence headlining it, defensive tackle for the or nose tackle for the New York Giants. You've been involved with the charity softball game, I think, ever since License Plate Guy, who's the organizer, started this thing. Going back to I think Landon Collins headlined it. I think a bunch of guys headlined it. So let's start off with, why is this so important to you to be a part of this every year?
Well, because for me, I think more so get to help raise money, for a good cause. I know we every time that we do it, we pick something different. And this year, St. Christopher's, um, which we need. Kind of look out, for underprivileged kids, just doing the best they can do, just try to help society and get more kids in good situations. Um, that's one of the reasons I like to do it. Number two, I get a chance to see my teammates that I played with, that I went to battle with. So if I only see them once a year, that's the time it is, and I like it, because of that reason. And then number three reason is we get a chance to get out there and mingle with the current players and kind of see what's on their minds, and kind of just see that's where we can get a real identity and what the team is going to be like. Just kind of see how the guys, handle themselves and articulate themselves with the fans. Because not see, we were all about the fans, right, when we played. So fans were all about us, and just to hear, just the way some of them think, and it'll give us an idea right now what we're going to do next year.
Now, I believe you're going to be the captain of the legacy guys. And I'm just kind of wondering, do you guys, you share a dugout. For those who have never been to the game, all the players share a dugout, but is there some good natured ribbing that goes on between, the legacy guys and the current guys?
Yeah, we just talk about winning, and it's over with. There's no going back and forth with anything. We just talk about us winning. I was talking to Dexter about that. I said, we talk about all this winning Super Bowls and stuff like that we did, but it was plenty of times throughout those 2 years that we won the Super Bowl where we absolutely sucked. So just to be transparent with you, like, it wasn't always peaches and cream. But when it was peaches and cream, that because we knew what we had and knew how far we can go with our personnel and the guys that we had around us. So, it wasn't always peaches and cream, but we ended up winning the time and got hot at when we needed to, to get hot. So I mean, it's gonna be fun, just talk, talking to a lot of my teammates and the current guys, and just kind of sit there just fellowshipping over the football and college football and kids and stuff like that.
And not to mention, it's a lesson actually that you can teach some of these younger guys because while they were competitive, in their own right in college and whatnot, now they're messing with the big boys, so to speak. So now it's like a whole new level, pumping it up to another level in a softball game, granted, but still it's a competitive sport.
It's a competitive sport. If I can get my guys to come out and be serious and really try to win the game, it's going to be that much more. It's going to be that much fun. It's going to be that much more fun to actually do it because I like winning and I want to try to come out and win this game for real, for real. I don't want to give them nothing, but again, their guys are younger. Their eyes are a little bit better than ours. They out there now competing. So, I want to. If we go out there and play serious and win, we're in trouble during the season.
Yeah, for sure. Who are some of your teammates that are going to be on your side?
Well, I got a lot of guys coming. Of course, I got Rich. I got O'Hara. I'm not sure if Snead's going to be there or not, but we'll love to have him. I know he got a new position with the Giants. We're hoping Eli can make it, but we're not quite sure yet. He's going to be there. I think Plexico will be there. Justin will be there. Just to name a few guys. That I went to battle with. That I'm happy that's going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's a big thing. We haven't done it in 5 years, so getting back out there this year doing it. I'm just looking forward to fellowshipping with everybody.
Is Ahmad coming to this one too?
We're trying to play it next year to be really big. It's a surprise, but I'm trying to make it happen right now.
Ah, okay. So it sounds like you got a nice team. And then whose side does Joe play for? License plate guy.
Joe is. I think he's the pitcher for both teams.
Ah, so
Yeah,
he's kind of neutral.
Yeah, he's kind of neutral.
And then, of course, also part of the festivities, there's dodgeball, I believe, right? You're going to have dodgeball and a home run hitting contest, right?
Home run hitting contest, yeah. So it's the dodgeball, home run hitting, the home run derby, and then the actual game.
All right. So who's going to win this one? Who's going to win all these events?
Well, I know the home run derby. I think we can hit because we got grown man strength. So I think that's going to be on our side. But for as anything else, I want to win the game. I'm not really sure about dodgeball, but I think we probably can take can take that too because we're just natural winners. That's just what it is.
And of course, for anybody who is going, I assume that you guys are going to mingle with the crowd, sign autographs in between and everything.
Right. I have an autograph signing with I'm signing autographs before. I can't remember the time, but it's like an hour or two before the game start. I'll be there signing autographs with Mario Manningham, someone else. But yeah, we're gonna be there doing. Oh, Akeem Nicks, he'll be there. So yeah, we're gonna have some guys there signing some autographs in the beginning. So just make sure people get out and come check us out.
Yeah, so we're going to post the information on where to buy tickets. Tickets are still available, and the event is May 18th. Unfortunately, I have to miss it, but I have a very good reason why I'm missing it.
So what you got going on? I know I'm being nosy.
It's my wedding anniversary.
Oh yeah, so you guys can't come enjoy the rest and then go to dinner after, or you guys leaving town? Like, what are you doing?
I don't know, actually. It's not a milestone anniversary, but it's our anniversary. And I think we're going to a nice dinner. And I'm not sure what else. But it's funny because when Joe told me the date, I said, it's my wedding anniversary. He's like, well, just come up anyway. And I said, oh, okay. So I went to my husband. I said, hey, you want to go? He goes, that's our anniversary. And I said, oh, okay. So I kind of knew at that point. So, but hey, listen. It's back. The event is annual now that the pandemic is over. But I'll be there in spirit, obviously. It's a shame because I would have loved to have, come up and seen all you guys, because I go back a long time with y'all. I go back to the 90s. So certainly I covered your generation and love you guys.
We're going to have some of the 90s guys there too. I think Otis will be there. A couple other guys I think is going to be there. So it's going to be a good turnout.
Well, hopefully the fans will come out. And again, we will post some information where you can find tickets. There's a website where you can go. Tickets are $35. It's really, considering what you're getting, the bargain you're getting great entertainment, a softball game, the dodgeball game, the home run derby, a chance to get autographs and pictures and so much. And I don't know what else Joe's got planned for it, but he does such a good job with planning these events out, making them fun for all ages. So I do hope, if those of you who don't have a wedding anniversary to celebrate like I do, if you can make it out to the event, this is the place to be. So, Brandon, listen, I want to thank you for coming on with me. I always love catching up with you. I hope I will see you this summer at training camp. You're going to be up for the training camp, you think?
Got to come up and bring my son and let him watch practice and stuff like that because he wants to go. He's going to be headed to Clemson after this football season. So his goal is to get drafted to the Giants. So we'll see.
And for those of you who don't know, Brandon's son, Braden, 6'7", and he's what, an offensive tackle? Is it?
For 332.
Wow. Big boy. He's bigger than you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, does
Yeah.
that scare you?
Hmm?
Does that freak you out?
No, it doesn't. Not at all. Because
No?
I'm that much of an alpha where that doesn't freak me out. I'm all right with it.
But he's a good kid, folks. I mean, I always say this when I see pictures of him on social media. I'm like, my gosh, I remember when he was in his stroller. That's how far back we go. But anyway, Brandon, good seeing you, my friend, and we will see you hopefully in the summer. Giant fans,
Yep.
that's going to do it for us here on today's Locked On Giants podcast. Make sure you keep it here all week long. We've got new episodes. We've got a schedule show coming up after the schedule is released, as well as other great stuff here on the Locked On Giants podcast. For Brandon Jacobs, I'm Patricia Traina, and we will see you again.